Rhiana Pfaff of
Hello.
Family Mission. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to see you. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for all you do. It's great to have you here on the Edge of Adventure. And we want to get to know Family Mission, a very unique mission that works in Haiti. Tell us the overview of what you guys are doing and what the focus or the heart of this mission is.
Our main mission is to alleviate poverty and to provide families with opportunities in order to keep them together. So, one of the main things that we noticed as we got into Haiti was that a lot of families were separated, and we just felt like families are better together, and we decided to work to achieve that.
That was one of the first things that I did notice about Family Mission is that your heart, your objective, your goal is to keep the families together. And obviously there's a time and a place for orphanages, but tell me, where did this heart come from, this desire, and how can you guys do this and keep the families together so you don't get to a point where a child ends up in an orphanage per se?
Right. The very, very first time we ever went to Haiti, we actually spent time at an orphanage. I was teaching English. And one of the things that happened in our month there was Family Day. And it was so bizarre to us to see because we just assumed all of these kids didn't have parents, that they did. All these parents came to spend the day with their families all together. They had siblings joining them, aunts, uncles, and most surprisingly, were their biological parents. And we learned through this day that most of these parents love and cherish their children. They simply couldn't afford maybe the education in particular, because that tends to be prohibitive costs for these families, and therefore put their children in an orphanage in hopes for a better life for them. And we just felt like something about that just didn't seem 100% the way God would want it. So,
What's life what is life like in Haiti? I mean, people who have been know, but those who haven't been, put it into perspective for those people.
um, life is hard in Haiti for sure. Very poor nation. I think everybody knows it as the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere. Um, and, you've got 10 shacks or pretty modest concrete homes, extreme poverty, really, but also immense beauty. So you've got both the poverty forefront with this gorgeous, sunset and beaches and things like that too. So,
One of the things that I discovered as I was researching and digging a little deeper into Family Mission, and you can look them up at familymission.org, by the way. Um, you you don't really like to think and certainly don't like to convey this idea that because a person is poor, they are not blessed.
yes.
Expand on that a little bit. Yeah.
So I think prior to Haiti, we would think, I have a nice home, drive a nice car, my kids have a good education, we're blessed. And after Haiti, I feel differently about that. And I think our family as a whole feels very differently about that. That saying that sort of cheapens God a little because the blessings that He gives us aren't materialistic. It's our life, what we do with our life, the community that we spend our life in. And so I feel like that's one of the things we really do try to convey in our messaging is that we're not blessed because of material things, but we're blessed because of our love for one another and the life that we're given to do something with.
My guest today is Rhiana Pfaff of Family Mission. You can look them up online at familymission.org. But now, those of you who are listening to the audio version of the podcast or you're listening to this on the radio, you must note that there is the letter P in front of the word family. So it's the letter P, the word familymission.org. And if you're looking, obviously, at the screen, you see it there, familymission.org. And Rhiana, I'm guessing that must come or must be related somehow to the Pfaff family. because that is your last name, Pfaff, and it's also spelled with
It
a silent P.
it is. We used to my husband was a touring musician, and, when he came off the road, we put it on the calendar as Pfaff Family Fun Day, and all the Fs had Ps in front, so we thought it would be funny, but it might be a little bit confusing for those who don't know
You
us
know what?
very
It's
well.
branding. It's branding, and once you remember that, you'll never forget it. That's the advantage. Alright, let's get back to Haiti. What do you love about Haiti? Why are you in love with this country and the people of this?
Uh, there is just something phenomenal about the communities in Haiti, and, um, it's the people, but it's also just the atmosphere as a whole. Although I think your first landing in Haiti, you might not feel that way because there's a different smell and there's different visuals than maybe what you're used to in the States, trash in some places and smoke and things like this that you might not be used to. But um, there's magical, waterfalls, and the beaches are just so beautiful, and the pristine mountaintops. It's just really phenomenal. And then the people there are just so amazing, very strong, very loving, and incredibly generous. They have taught me so much about generosity, and I'm just so grateful for the time that we had living there, and also the time we still get to spend there.
How long did you live there?
Almost 5 years, almost exactly. Yeah. So
And, the family mission, again, familymission.org for more information. You guys, how are you tell me a little bit about the procedure, a little bit about the initiative, about the expectations. How does this work? How are you helping the kids and the families? And how can people, perhaps in the US or in other Western nations, come alongside you guys and get involved?
awesome question. The primary work that we do is with our education initiative. And because going to school in Haiti is not free, that cost is, like I said, what prevents families from staying together sometimes. So we like to provide sponsorships for kids to go to school, but we have a process for that. Our families have to go through an interview process. There's a commitment level that has to take place. There's grade levels that have to be achieved and behavior levels that have to be achieved. So we do have expectations because we have so many people just waiting for a slot in our program. Um, and alongside of this, we make sure that our kids are doing well. In every way. So, for example, when COVID hit, we gave our sponsors the opportunity to provide water purification packages and some basic first aid kits. And we also provided instructions in Creole for how to properly sanitize and things like this.
So, Creole, do you speak Creole?
Yes, I do.
And, was that easy? How long did it take you to learn? I mean, you did live there for 5 years, which should give you
Yes,
an opportunity, but did you find it difficult to learn? Is it a
I did.
barrier?
It's a francophone language, so I spoke French fluently in college, and so I thought that it would be really simple for me, but I think the French actually got in my way. So, now granted, I didn't speak French fluently anymore by the time we moved, but, you have all those old memories that keep flooding back, and so you think it's gonna be correct, and then you didn't say the right thing at all. But luckily, we spent so much time around people who would laugh at us, but also correct us and help us to get it correct the next time. So it took probably about a year before I felt comfortable in conversational Creole, and I would say by the end I felt very fluent. I can read, write, speak Creole. Now we've lived in the States again for almost 2 years, so luckily, I use my Creole on a daily basis. It's not completely gone, but it's probably not as good as it was when I lived there, having to speak it all day long every day.
How did you feel like the people reacted? Now you spoke a little bit about this. They would kind of laugh or whatever and help
Yeah.
you and correct your grammar or the words or the vocabulary.
Yeah.
But let's talk to people who are thinking about going and serving potentially in Haiti or in some other
Mhm.
country, and yet there's the language barrier,
Yeah.
and different people learn the language different ways. But I
Yeah.
mean, should a person hold back and not go based on the language barrier, or maybe they give it a shot, see how it goes, and what do you think the people are like when you're the one learning the language, you're living in their culture, you're
Yeah.
learning their language? Do they receive you pretty well?
Yes, what I found was that, yeah, of course, there's a giggle when you get something wrong, but there's always the appreciation for the attempt. And so I think that if you're going to go, learn a couple things that you can, bonjour is hello, and, all kinds of fun, como ye, you can ask, how are you doing? Little things like that, they go a long way just to show that you are trying to make an effort to be in their country, in their culture. And I think that that's really important, especially on a mission trip.
Rihanna, what took you and your family to Haiti the first time?
um, it's kind of a long story, so I'll try to keep it brief. We were considering adoption at the time, and everything just kind of kept pointing to Haiti. And then there was an opportunity to do a food packing event for Haiti. And that kind of led down this path of Haiti, Haiti, Haiti. And it was through that food packing event that I actually learned about this orphanage where a lot of the food was going to go, that needed an English teacher. And for the first time in, gosh, I don't know how long, my husband had a month off of the road, and we were homeschooling already. So we just kind of decided to do something different and take this plunge to leave the country for a month. And we fell in love when we were there. We just didn't want to leave.
And then you managed to go back and spend 5 years serving
Yeah.
how?
So our first trip was in March. We took a second trip in November of that same year, October, November, and we moved in January the following year. And we went just not really with a huge plan. It's probably not the best way to do things, but our family tends to be leap first, look later. Um, so we went, we were going to help at the orphanage where we had already started helping out. And then also, we're just going to kind of figure the rest out along the way. And it was within the first year, we moved into our house in Haiti and developed our education initiative, and kind of phased back our work with the orphanage and more into our community where we moved um, to start. We wanted to know our neighbors. We wanted to know what their needs were, and we wanted to be part of the community and see what we can do to help bring justice where there was none.
So, tell me about your family. You have, quite a few kids, I think, yes?
Yes, we do. We have uh, two foster sons and our two biological daughters. And actually, we had a third foster son, not really legally ours. He lived with us, but he's back with his family, and plus he's like 20 now, so he doesn't need us.
So a
I
big
joke about not
family.
needing us, but we all stay in touch, of course, on a regular basis. But I just meant he doesn't need them. He's not
He's
a
grown up
toddler.
he's grown up a little bit,
Yeah,
and,
he's an adult.
so our guest today is Rhiana Pfaff from Family Mission. You can find out more information online at familymission.org, familymission.org. Again, family in this case has a silent letter P in front of it. So family with a P, mission.org. You can find out more about their heart and what they're doing. And I want to shift now and talk about what your goal is not. I
Hmm.
think you make it clear in some of the material that you have that your goal is not to change the culture. Talk to me about that. What are you trying to not do, and what are you trying to do?
I think one of the most important things that we learned along the way was not to Americanize things, because Haiti is Haiti and Haitians are Haitian, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We're just two different countries, two different cultures. And I think that that's something we probably made some mistakes in early on, was feeling like we needed to Americanize things when really we just needed to meet the people and understand their way of life and the history in their culture. And obviously, we're American, we'll never 100% understand it, but we feel like we opened ourselves up to really hearing what the people in our community had to say and how they felt. So I think that that's something that I think everybody should consider that just as going into a new country is keeping your mind open to another culture and another way of life and not necessarily Americanizing things.
Rihanna, tell me about the importance of speaking positively when perhaps there are some negative things that could be said about a person or a situation,
Yeah.
but you think that we have to be careful with negativity? Talk to me about that.
I do. I feel like when we're speaking about people in crisis or people who are struggling, I try to put myself in their shoes. So I think, would I want this photo of me shared? Would I want this story about me shared? And would I want it shared in this way? Or how would I want someone to talk about me or my kids? And I think that that changes how we speak about things when we really put ourselves in that situation. So, for example, my neighbor in Haiti lost her baby one day and she came to my gate for comfort, and I hugged her and I talked to her and I let her cry on my shoulder and I cried with her, and then we paid for her hospital bills and all these things. However, never in that moment did I think I should get a picture of this. I do think, and sometimes, especially as a small nonprofit, we share these things because we know that it'll pull at heartstrings, and bring in the donations that help us do the work that we do. But I've just never been able to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's how you feel or if that's how your community um, does things. There's no judgment from me. I just personally, our family has chosen to just put ourselves in that position. And would I want these things or this photo said about me or my family? And that's how we've opted to do things.
So, Rihanna, keeping that in mind, you have shared with me a few photos that I have your permission and you have their permission to
I
share.
have their permission. Yes.
Okay. So let's take a look at some of those and tell me what we're looking at in this picture here.
These are my neighbor's kids, and they had just gotten new backpacks for school this day. This was early on, actually, our very first year in the education initiative. So their parents actually were able to afford schooling for them, or I think they had a school. I don't know the exact situation, sorry, but we did provide backpacks, and they were our neighbors. We got along very well. That's my husband in the checkered hat, Gary, and that's his Bible study. All teenage boys and 20-something guys. Um, Actually, I really love to tell about this Bible study because Gary is a very real dude. And, tattoos, he's in the music industry. So there's kind of a realness, I think, about him that maybe some of the older missionaries in our community would not have had with these boys. And so they felt really comfortable being like, okay, Mr. Gary, you're telling me voodoo is bad, but this dude walked on water, like, help me figure this out. And they had these really frank and real conversations about doubt and fear and being a man of God in today's world. And I really am very proud of both my husband and all of these guys. Some of these guys actually continued the Bible study with younger kids when we moved. It's really
This is
cool.
The Edge of Adventure. My name is Adam Asher. My guest today is Rhiana Pfaff. She's joining us from the Family Mission. And if you're listening to this on the audio version of the podcast or the radio show, obviously there's no video, so you're missing these pictures. But she's describing what just on a handful of pictures that she's provided here. We have a few more that we're going to go through. And if not, if you're listening to the audio version, you can pop over to YouTube, theedgeofadventure.com, or Facebook or some of the other social media platforms and join in the podcast version of this with the video. But beautiful pictures here, as you mentioned. I mean, there's a contrast between the physical beauty, but also
Hmm.
there's poverty. Okay, and that's an issue, and that certainly causes uh,
Yeah.
suffering. Tell me about the picture we're looking at here. Beautiful blue sky, clouds, and where is this?
This is actually in the community that we serve in. This is a little area of it called Silo. And sorry, this is Cineas. And these guys are playing soccer. I actually posted a short video of this on Instagram just yesterday, I think. And so you can watch the guys playing soccer, or as they say in Haiti, football. But this was taken on a community day. We have occasionally we do these community days, set up speakers and music and bring food for the whole community and just hang out, parents, kids, play games, worship. This is after school.
Different picture here. We're looking at a chalkboard, and this is after school, so they're
This,
doing what is this homework? What's going on here?
yes, one of them is helping the others with their homework. I think this was physics, but I can't read it.
And this, tell me about this picture here. We have two people in this picture. Who do we have here?
This is me, obviously, on the left, and then one of the mamas of our school kids. And actually, every year we interview the families. It used to be me doing it, but I have a program director in Haiti named Nadia, and she does it now. But it's one of my favorite times of the year, actually, that I
So you're
get to.
interviewing. What are you? What's the interview? What kind of information are you looking for in the process?
So one of the things that we like to do is have like kind of a full picture of this family's life. So we want to know, is there a mom and a dad in the picture or just one? How many people are living in the home? How many times a day are you eating? Um, did you receive yourself an education? What are your expectations for your kids as far as chores around the house, as far as the grades that they receive in school? How are you going to support them in doing well in school? It's pretty comprehensive. It's about 2 pages actually of questions, which we sit down and go through because some of our parents are not literate.
And then if they pass the test, shall we say, and you feel like it's a worthy investment for family mission to invest and to help that particular family, what does the family receive if it's a family that is deemed a good fit for your organization?
So the family themselves never receives money in hand. We have a school that we work directly with to enroll the kids. So the parents have to go directly to the school, get the kids enrolled, and the school has a list of the children that are within our program. Um, and then we do check-ins about every other month. Every family's checked in with by the time 2 months rolls around. And although some of our kids actually do get backpacks, if their sponsor chooses to provide a backpack and they didn't receive one the year before, then we would provide a backpack. And we actually switched that to now we use a Haitian manufacturer in Haiti that uses well, they're called sache de l'eau. It's like a little plastic bag of water, and you can buy them really cheap on the street to, drink or wash your face. And they actually use those and compress them to make a fabric that makes this great, sturdy, waterproof backpack. So it's great because it helps Haitian business also, and the trash on the street.
And shifting now to another picture here on the edge of adventure with my guest today, Rhiana Pfaff from Family Mission. Here's a picture of you, Rhiana,
Mhm.
and tell me about this child here. I see just a lot of love represented in this photo.
She's so sweet. um, we also interview the children so that we know what do they want to be when they grow up? What are their dreams and their favorite colors and all these things? And also, this is fun information that we can share with their sponsor. So they kind of, there's a setup of stations, I guess. There's a parent interview and a child interview, and then they have their photograph taken. And if they want a family portrait, we actually do family portraits for them as well and print them and give them because many families in Haiti don't have a picture of themselves. So we like to do that as a gift.
Another picture and another adorable child. Clearly, this must still be a part of the interview process.
Yeah, this is all
And
an interview day.
do you remember this child here? Look, I see personality written all over her.
She is spunky. I wish I had a I wish I had up her information so I could tell you what she wanted to be when she grows up, but I think it was something really fun, like a fashion designer or something. She was just so full. That's the coolest thing I think about this is we really get to know these kids and you no longer see them as just a poor child. They have all this personality. They're just like your own kids. They have big hopes and big dreams and they're so fun, full of life.
And there's an opportunity then if you're the sponsor, let's say you're stateside or perhaps
Oh,
in some other country, but you're the person, you're the family giving to be supportive of that child and that family.
mhm.
You have the opportunity then to also develop, I don't know if a relationship's the right word, but do they know who their sponsor is?
Yes, so I don't actually put photos of the kids who need a sponsor up on our website. You just have the opportunity to go and sponsor, and then we'll match you with a kid. Or if you have a preference, like boy, girl, whatever, you can email me and I'll match you with one of those, um, or an age or something. Grade level. Sometimes parents have a kid in third grade; they want to sponsor another third grader, so we can obviously do that. And then once you're matched, you will get a photo of your child with some basic information. um, then you'll get updates on your kid about every quarter. And of course, as the school year begins and ends, and any kind of things that come in along the way. For example, COVID this year, we gave sponsors the opportunity to send those things. And also, we do allow letters to be written. We don't allow gifts. And we do obviously monitor letters, but yeah, you can develop a relationship with your kid and get to know them and their hopes and dreams and what they do for fun and all kinds of good stuff. Yeah.
What does the next 12 months look like for you guys? What are your hopes? I know we've all had some challenges recently that
Yeah.
we've had these challenges in common, given just the situation in the
Yeah.
world today. But what are you guys looking for the next 12 months? And what other than financial support, what other
Yeah.
ways could somebody really help you guys?
Awesome. Um, okay. Right now, I'm trying to find sponsors for 30 kids. So it's the first time we've ever had so many without a sponsor. So that's like my number one priority in the next month, really. Then in the next 12 months, we are adding in programs for parents. We actually just started a couple weeks ago. We did our very first parent class on sustainability. It was 3 weeks long, where we taught, well, we didn't actually, a partner organization came in and taught classes on environmental care. And they did a big community cleanup day. And then they learned about composting and growing food in containers because most of our families don't have land, so that they could all have nourishing foods at home. So that is a huge thing that we're looking forward to expanding on. We're actually going to be adding in a caregiver, like a spiritual caregiving course, and also a health and nutrition course, and like a home first aid. And I'm hoping adult literacy is after that. We really, really are praying for that. And then I have this sort of big, hairy, audacious goal of starting our own school in Haiti. I don't know that I've said that out loud before. So now you have to hold me to it. But I just think it would be really cool to have our own school in which we did things just a little bit differently, where we taught these things that our parents are about to start learning in the classroom, because unfortunately, a lot of those things aren't already taught in Haitian schools, having a no means no class and a, health and sex education class, and really just having all these sort of unique fringe, I guess, classes that would be part of our curriculum. That's just sort of a random hairy goal that I have, but who knows? God can do anything.
Rhiana Pfaff from Family Mission joining us today. Look them up at familymission.org. And again, don't forget, there's a silent P in front of the word family. So the letter P, familymission.org. for more information about this wonderful organization. Rhiana, why does any of this even matter to you? There's so much love that I can feel the love that you have for these kids and these families. Where did that come from? And I mean, honestly, you could be doing a lot of other things, right?
Yeah.
Why do you even care?
Well, I think my faith, first and foremost, is one of the reasons that this started. um, you know, God says to take care of the widow and the orphan and the sick and the elderly. And that became a pretty big part of the reason behind our first trip. And then after that, I think that God just really said, hey, this is a bigger purpose in your life. And I love being a mom. I love homeschooling my kids. I love all kinds of fun things, but this has brought purpose, I think, um, for me. And also, it's just changed my heart dramatically. I think that I used to just feel so much differently. And now I feel like my heart has just grown 3 times, maybe bigger. And it's changed my perspective on so many things. It's changed my kids' perspective and opened their eyes to new things. So I guess that sounds really selfish, but um, I think that's true, right? When we go on a mission trip, it ends up really being more about us than the people we go to serve. But I just feel like this is a grand purpose in my life, and I've grown to love this community so much. They are family to me. They are my neighbors. They are my friends, and I just can't imagine knowing that one of these people that I love is hungry or about to put their kid in an orphanage because they can't send them to school. I just can't. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, I don't think.
Rihanna, you may be aware that here on the Edge of Adventure, the two words or the two themes or concepts that I always go back to and kind of what I've built this platform on is the search for adventure and purpose. And you've just talked about the purpose, and you've
Yeah,
said that very well. And I think you speak on behalf of so many of us who are, we want our lives to matter. We do.
yeah,
We want our lives to matter. We want to know that we're living not just for the status quo. There's got to be something more than that.
yeah.
There's got to be. There's got to be. And it seems like you have found that the purpose side. Let me ask you this though. I think it would be a shame if I didn't. I mean, is living in Haiti, traveling to Haiti, taking care and loving on these families and these kids, is there a sense of adventure to all of that?
There's definitely adventure. I could tell you some stories. Um, yeah, I mean, we've had all kinds of adventure. We've had a house fire and we've been shot at, and well, my husband has. We've had a shooting outside of our home. We've been locked inside our four walls because of manifestations. I mean, there's not always fun adventure. Those are not fun adventures. There's the fun adventures of exploring the beach or hiking to a waterfall or hiking up in the mountains. And so, yeah, there's a ton of adventure involved. And it's always exciting because you don't know what's around the corner.
Rihanna, thank you so much for joining me today. I want to wrap things up here with a couple final questions. Okay.
Okay.
What what does the audience, those who are listening on the radio, the audio podcast, the video podcast, right? All these people that are taking this in, there's something about this conversation that kept them interested. What do these people need to know about the people of Haiti?
The people of Haiti are resilient. I think that's number one important for people to know. I think that Haiti gets a bad rap because it's always, it's like one disaster after another. But Haiti's people are resilient and they're strong and they want to be able to do all of this on their own. It's not their fault that they have so much poverty or corruption or all of those things. I think that's so important. Just like a little bit of a hand up goes a really long way and it can change the trajectory of a family.
Rhiana Pfaff from Family Mission. All right, let me pull up a couple of bits of information onto the screen one more time, familymission.org. If you're looking at it on the screen, you see it there, Family Mission with that silent P in front of the word family, familymission.org. You can also look them up on social media, Instagram, Facebook, so on and so forth, at Family Mission. And there it is on the screen. Again, don't forget that silent P, right? This is their trademark. This is their trademark. And they're doing great things. And we had the opportunity today to meet and get to know Rhiana, Pfaff. And I again, as I mentioned a minute ago, I'm struck by just the joy and the love that you have for these people. And
Yeah.
I think it's very clear that you love what you're doing. So
Yeah.
let's wrap it up with just an invitation. People watching, getting involved. I'm sure you could use their help. You've already mentioned it. You've got a couple of different projects, some big dreams for the next 12 months, but then also some urgent needs. What's your invitation today to the audience? How can they help?
I think my greatest, not mine, but our community's greatest need right now is sponsors for, we have 30 kids without sponsors. So if you have it on your heart to sponsor a kid, you can go to familymission.org/sponsor, and you can give a backpack or sponsor a child that needs a sponsor for school, because the school year actually started late this year because of the shutdown from the pandemic. So they had to resume classes in August and September, and then for last year, and so this year actually just started a few weeks ago. So we're in a new year and need 30 kids, need sponsors. Another way you can help financially is to join the honor roll. It's our fun name for our monthly donors. So just by giving $25 a month or more, you join the honor roll, and we'll offer some fun stories like behind the scenes that maybe our everyday viewer or follower on Instagram or whatever would not get to see. And of course, pray. Pray for Haiti, pray for the work that we're doing and the community we're serving. And of course, pray for how God moves your heart to help, if not our organization, another maybe that does something that speaks to you.
Well, thank you so much, Rhiana Pfaff from
Yeah.
the from the Family Mission. Let me say it again, Rhiana Pfaff, joining us today from Family Mission. Look them up online at familymission.org. Rhiana is the founder and director of this organization, doing a wonderful job. Clearly loves the people of Haiti so very much. And I'm thankful for you, thankful for this opportunity to get to know you and also to share your story today. So we'll have to have you come back on the show in the future to tell us more about the great things that you guys are doing.
Thank you so much.
And thank you all for joining us today right here on the Edge of Adventure podcast. We'll see you next time.